And welcome into another episode of Shovick Sports. I am Corey.
And I am Austin.
You see a familiar face. Tim with us last week. Tim, thanks for joining us again.
You bet. I wasn't for sure how to take the invitation, whether I was so bad last week that I'm getting a chance to redeem myself this week.
That's exactly what it is. Oh, no.
You got to give me another chance.
Yeah. So we are going to play our short little intro, and we'll get into it after.
West War Room Rivals is sponsored by Emporia State Federal Credit Union. Learn more at esfcu.com. Text or call the number 620-342-2336 to get started today. ESFCU is the Shovicks banking of choice, federally insured by the NCUA.
All right. So again, thank you to Emporia State Federal Credit Union, our banking of choice. Do you have anything else that you would like to add about SPY?
Yeah, so SPY, we received our glasses from SPY. I got the Discord. Pretty cool, honestly. I think my favorite part is they're built tough, but they look clean at the same time. So, yeah, no, I'm not the one that wears sunglasses at night, but I do want them on camera for a little bit. But yeah, no, really good glasses, really clean, fit well, built tough, and make sure to use our discount code at checkout. If you guys go and get some glasses, use Orange20 and you'll get 20% off at checkout. These are glasses that'll last. These are glasses that are feel good. And honestly, I kind of like the lenses on these more than I have previous glasses.
Yeah, and I have the Cyrus, so I honestly didn't know what to think either. I've never spent more than like maybe $10 to $15 on sunglasses for a reason. I think in high school I had some like cool like Oakleys, but that wasn't me spending money on it. That was obviously parents spending money on those. So no, man, again, guys, the Cyrus, go check them out. Make sure you guys show them some love, and hopefully more to come from SPY. So again, Orange20 for 20% off at checkout. Again, go see. They have tons and tons.
Yeah, pages.
Not even not just sunglasses. They have other eyewear for those who use prescription. They have prescription on there as well. And you'll hear more about SPY over the next couple of days because we are doing our show tonight. And then we have 2 War Room episodes this week. Tomorrow, Jesse Newell, Kansas City Star, joining us to talk some Chiefs. And then your big guest.
Yeah, Thursday we have former Chiefs running back Derek Blaylock going to come on, talk about a little bit of his time with our one of our previous guests, Coach Dick Vermeil, talk about what it was like with him, and then a little bit of the program and everything he does now. So former Chiefs running back Derek Blaylock on here Thursday.
So again, loaded up show this week. We obviously had Coach Vermeil on last week. Then we had Tim and Justin on the Shovick show. So let's kind of just jump into some stuff. I mean, it's probably the worst time of year, 100% honest, guys. I'm not big in the MLB All-Star game as much anymore. Didn't really watch the Home Run Derby. I don't even think we actually put the Home Run Derby on at all last night just because I wasn't. And then I saw Jazz Chisholm's kind of half effort of what he was trying to do in the Home Run Derby. I think he finished with 3.
Yeah, is that the fewest that's ever been hit? I mean,
seems like it. Yeah, I'm like Corey. I don't pay much attention to it anymore.
Remember the old days when you would see like, I don't know, I don't want to say effort because I think these players do still try a little bit, but I don't feel like all the best of the best are in the game anymore.
No, they're not, and you have so many guys who opt out for a variety of reasons. But I can't say never. I guess when I was a kid growing up, I may have had a little more interest in it just because maybe I was a little more attached to the game even than I am now, with boyhood heroes and whatnot. And so when George Brett was playing in it and guys like that, I was a little more interested. But I don't get really interested much in any All-Star game, quite frankly, whether it's baseball, football, or basketball.
No, I think the best one we've really gotten into was actually
hockey.
The NHL All-Star Week that they had in Vegas, and they were kind of shooting pucks out on the water there and doing all that. But I think even back to my childhood with some of the I don't want to say iconic moments because it's an all-star game, but Torrey Hunter making that robbery in center field and like just having fun with it. Like, I don't know. I feel like we've gone far, far away from that.
Mm-hmm.
And it really is kind of, I don't know.
I mean, I
guess.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose later on tonight when it gets to the 8th inning, if it's a close game, I may watch the last couple innings just to see what happens. But and that's even a toss of a coin whether I'll do that or not. But yeah, I just don't have much interest in it anymore. So I'll be ready for Friday when the regular season actually gets rolling again.
Yeah, and Cody, we also remember when it was 10 outs. There were a couple. I mean, at least they weren't trying to rush through it. So like the product of it was a little better. Now these guys are obviously different hitters than what some of those old time guys were, and that's not a knock on them. It's not a knock on today's game. It's just 10, you didn't feel as pressured as if you're hearing like, oh, I got 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second, or you have to use a timeout.
Yeah,
stuff like that. But so again, yeah, Friday. I think the Royals, are they opening back up at home? They are not. They're in Miami.
Yeah, they're in Miami. I think they have a 6-game trip. They go to Miami, and I believe they go to Chicago and play the Cubbies for 3. I think is the 6-game.
They do. That means it was just a couple years ago we were there.
Almost this time, actually.
Yeah. Cubs having a great year so far, right? I mean, a game up on Milwaukee in the NL Central. Cardinals are 6.5 back. That has to make you feel good.
Isn't it beautiful? I will say I don't want to say the Cubs have had a great year.
Are you kidding me? The Cubs go Royals and then the White Sox.
We've played one of the hardest schedules in baseball so far. That we had to open up with Dodgers in Tokyo. So, but no, I'm only going to say the Cubs have had a really good year because pitching has cost us a handful of games, preventing it from being a great year. But it's going to be a fight that the Brewers, they're just a team that always finds a way to be there. So it's not going to be easy to close out the pennant. So,
and that's a really good division. I mean, I know the Cardinals for the Cubs are a nemesis, and obviously as a Royals fan, that's the other side of the state.
Yeah.
But still, overall, really good division, and obviously there's still a race there. Certainly, with the Cubbies are only up 1. What's not a race is the AL Central. Man, what the heck? What has gotten into the Tigers? Good Lord.
Yeah, it's the young players that they were banking on the last 3-4 years finally starting to click. Torkelson, they sent him back down there for a period of time. Mm-hmm. Riley Green, they were starting to wonder if he was going to figure it out. Who else am I thinking?
I got like Kerry Carpenter. Zach McKinstry's come out of nowhere, and I don't think he should be an all-star, but he's put together a really good year.
Well, they just have such a, like you said, there's not a real superstar in that lineup. They just got some tough, I think some really hard-nosed guys.
And then Scooble helps.
Well, and he'll start the All-Star game tonight. Boy, Scooble, he's filthy. Mize has really kind of found his way.
And their bullpen. I mean, and who's the manager now? Is it Hinch?
It's AJ.
Yeah, AJ Hinch. Like, we can say what we want, but he's typically been a good manager, and I think this is just another good managerial job by him. I think patience, along with just knowing how to coach some of these young players through the tough times.
Right.
We're seeing it now because let's be honest, on paper, outside of Scooble, you're thinking it's a bunch of average to slightly above average players. I mean, truthfully.
And guys who were drafted relatively high who just haven't panned out yet. Well, now they're starting to kind of put some things together. But I certainly didn't see it coming where Detroit would be, so far out. I mean, Minnesota's in second, and they're like 13 out, something like that. Royals
there was a stretch where the Royals were closer to the White Sox in last than they have than the Tigers.
I think the Royals are like 12, 13 out, maybe 14 out by now. But, of course, they still have a shot at the wild card. That's not lost yet. But 4.5, and plus they have so many teams to jump. So don't know if our Royals are going to make it or not. We'll see.
I think they're going to be okay. I think it's very important to finish July, kind of how they started July. Obviously June – typically the Royals are May, maybe April and May. Then we know they're out. I mean, this year's June was the month because they had a really good May. They're sitting there. They're doing fine. They're doing just enough right, to stay above where they need to be, and then they're 8-18 in June. That wipes everything out. Like you built up a nice little, you had that 8-9 game win streak, put some padding on your record, and then you completely whiff by losing like 10 in a row almost.
Yeah. Well, I think last year certainly spoiled us. I think they certainly overachieved last year, which I think maybe set some fans up this year to thinking it was going to be more of the same. And I think they're probably playing more to the level that they truly are right now, which isn't bad. I mean, they're 3-4 games under 500. They just have they have a lot of building still to do. I mean, this lineup is not good. I mean, hitting wise, they're just not a very good hitting team. And you take Bobby Witt out of the equation. Now, Mikhail Garcia's had a good year by his standards, but by and large, this team just hasn't hit, which is unfortunate when you consider the starting pitching that they're wasting because the pitching's still been pretty good.
Yeah, that's when we were talking off air recently, and that's what I said. I think overachieving last year kind of set it up for unrealistic expectations. Like,
sure.
We've run out kind of the similar team, and I think this is kind of what we thought last year was supposed to be. But, with what Bobby, Vinny, and Sal did to carry the load offensively last year, that was going to be hard to ask to replace. And that's still really where the offensive burden, lies on them still. And the role players are kind of not performing like they did last year.
And they're picking it up, though, right? So, like, now you're starting to see Vinny's been pretty good the last couple of months. Bobby kind of went in a little slump and dropped down to like 280. Now he's back up to almost 300 again. And then Salvi was down to almost 200. Now he's back up to like 240, close to 250. And he's finally starting to see the ball a little better, and he's putting some good power onto it. So now you're starting to see him warm up. Man, it's just embarrassing looking at the lineup card and seeing, your top 5 guys, and then you see your outfielders.
The outfield. At some point, Caglianone's balls have to start finding grass, right? Like,
yeah, you would hope. I mean, I just, we talked to
that hard that often and get so unlucky every time.
Well, we had Denny Matthews on our talk show here in Emporia, and his point was that, he was really going to see how the outfielders perform because he felt like that was the real weakness of the team.
It is.
And certainly, he's proven to be right, which certainly not surprised as long as he's been around the game. But yeah, the outfield spots just aren't very good. Those aren't major league players. I shouldn't say that. They're 4th and 5th outfielders. Let's put it that way. They're not frontline guys. So hopefully through the draft, of course, nowadays you guys certainly dip into the free agent market too. They still have a lot of building to do. Hopefully they can get the hitting side taken care of before the pitching goes south on them. So
yeah. And I think they do make a move in the next couple of weeks for an outfielder, whether it's, I've seen Reynolds name brought up a couple times. I've seen Alec Thomas from Arizona a couple times.
Jimmy Garcia.
I've seen Adolis Garcia from the Rangers. I've seen his name pop up. Stowers was kind of borderline. But yeah, I know the numbers aren't going to be pretty with those guys right now, especially that contract that Reynolds is carrying.
Right.
That one might be a little tougher to swallow if they do trade, Blake Mitchell or someone for him, just to see that he still has like $75 million left on his deal, and you're giving up Blake Mitchell. I'd rather you not. I'd rather, try to piece something else, maybe package something up and maybe get 1 or 2 guys from a team that can come in right away. But other than that, I've seen Byron Buxton's name kind of floated around. Not sure if the Twins would do that. Luis Robert. I know the White Sox phone's burning up from people calling about him. I think the Blue Jays have been the most aggressive at him, I think is what I was hearing, which Blue Jays are kind of on a tear right now themselves.
They really are. They've really established themselves in the East, at least as of right now. Of course, you mentioned, Buxton and guys like that, Robert. It's just so hard to trade within your division. Typically, teams don't like to do that, and certainly understandably so.
Well, especially if you're going to give up a prospect like, Carter Jansen or Blake Mitchell, and then you got to see him in 2, 3, maybe 5 years.
Sure.
And then see him for a decade.
And just be like, well, Salvi's not going to be here for probably more than 2 more, maybe 3 max. Freddie's kind of already on the, he's up there in age as well. You're going to be relying on those catching prospects. So you have to nail that because you don't want to see him for the next decade.
Well, it's, trades are tough. It's a crapshoot. You just don't know how they're going to work out. But they do have to do something. They just can't sit idle. I mean, if they really, if they're truly now trying to play competitive baseball in Kansas City, you can't just sit on your hands and do nothing. I mean, you've got to be aggressive and don't be unwise and aggressive. I mean, you got to be smart what you're doing, but still you got to tip your toe in the water and try to get something on your team that will help you out. They tried that, getting India for Singer. I'm still not quite sold on that trade just yet, but we'll see. I mean, again, it was the case they had to do something.
And another guy whose OPS is going back up and his batting average is going back up. He's actually starting to show a little more pop and hitting gaps. And we thought there was a couple games over the weekend that we thought he may have actually gotten a hold of him, but warning track power, but he still found the gap. So, and the dude just keeps getting beat on. Like he just
stepped on, hit, goes off the bait. Like
he's tough.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
see, those are the moves I like the Royals making, though.
You still feel like you would have been able to get a little more for Singer, though.
Well, my thing is within a year or two, you're going to have to pay Singer. The Royals can't do that.
No, they can't.
Plain and simple. That's the only – y'all know how big of a Singer guy I was, like big Singer guy. But I understand that move. You're not going to be able to pay – because Singer will get third, fourth spot in the rotation money.
Mm-hmm.
Probably, which is still a little steep for what the Royals would probably prefer,
right?
And the length, because he's still going to be a decent age. So I get that trade. Now let me ask, what kind of trade is it? Any move for an outfielder that the Royals make you're happy with, or are we going to be upset if it's like one of those bargain bin moves where it's like this team's not very good outfielder, but we got a nice little deal for it?
You have to see what you give up for it, though, right? Like you don't want Seth Lugo still has team control, so I would expect a little more than just barrel bin for if you are going to do like what the Tigers did last year with Jack Flaherty, right?
You still have to get you got to get fair market value. Again, it gets back to the point. I don't think you make a move just for the sake of making a move. Just because you think you're appeasing the fans because you're showing them, hey, look, we're trying here. No. If you're picking up another team's fourth and fifth outfielder, well, all you've done is add another fourth or fifth outfielder. I mean, you haven't improved the team, and you've given up something.
It's the endless cycle.
Yeah,
I'd like to be able to get to one of those teams, and I don't know if the Orioles will be full sell mode or not. But if we get up a Lugo, I'd like to be able to get one of the like 2-for deals where we can get like an O'Hearn and Mullins out of it.
Yeah,
and obviously we'd have to give up a little more than just Lugo. Lugo's just a centerpiece, but I'd like to go to one of those teams where you can get a couple people. Well, let's be honest, like we'll stick with Jack in the right field, right? Like we got to let him develop there. As painful as it might be, I still think the other two spots can absolutely be had.
Sure.
I like Isbell defensively, and he's a pretty okay-ish hitter, but I absolutely think if you can replace him for the right price, he's replaceable.
Well, and again, he's a guy who probably should be a number 4 outfielder. He shouldn't be playing every single day. And as far as Jack is concerned, I guess the question will be, and we won't know until we move a little more forward and have more of a sample size, what you hope, and I don't think it's the case, but you never know. You hope you don't bring him up too soon to where it gets to a point where confidence is lost or he develops some bad habits that you certainly don't want him to pick up at the major league level.
Right. I don't think that's it though. He seems to be a confident guy. Always has. Like that was kind of his thing. He seems frustrated, but he's still hitting the ball 105 miles an hour, consistently.
It's the body language for me. Like he's got to fix that a little bit. Right.
And baseball, man, it is such a mental game. And the guy's only 22 years old.
And even Rex Edler had said something the other day. He did his job essentially. He hit it over to the right side, got the guys over, but he didn't hustle it out. And Rex Edler was like, hey, man, like you did your job, but you're going to have to get, reward yourself by hustling. Then it'll come to you at some point. He's like, don't let like the George Bretts and the guys see you do stuff like that because, what message is that sending? Like you got to buy in, you got to do your part. You'd moved them over, but you kind of didn't bust it down the line where you could have made it, a little closer. Right. So it's the body language for me. I've always been a body language guy, especially, I get it. He's young. He was just playing in college not too long ago. Right. So
Yeah, I mean he what it was he was in the 24 draft, wasn't he? Was that just
Yep.
last year?
Last year.
Just last
Yep.
year.
So he hasn't even played a full year of minor league ball.
Yep.
And that's the only reason I say I hope they haven't rushed him. Because I mean, you've seen some guys that come up a little quicker maybe than they should have, and sometimes you don't know how it's going to work out. I think Baltimore maybe seen a little bit of that. With some of these guys they brought up early who were supposed to be all-stars, and they've struggled a bit. It's taken them some time to get. I mean, it's a big jump from minor leagues to the majors.
Yeah,
We'll see.
I don't disagree with the body language part of Jack, but at the same point, I think his job and his role for the Royals and for his career in the show is going to be hitting the baseball and being a production guy. And to me, as long as he keeps hitting the ball hard, at some time the law of averages will hopefully play out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say he's going to be this guy by any stretch of the imagination, but Judge came up and hit 196 as a rookie. Like,
yep.
I don't think there's anything better than major league reps for players like this, but I do agree you are going to have to work on the mental aspect and your body language, son, because you said it. That's 95% of baseball is your mental state,
yep.
your ability to not let one thing put you in a slump or any of that. So I'm still confident in him. As long as he's hitting the baseball hard, if that starts going away, then his sole purpose and like claim to fame, one could say, that's when I'll start worrying a little bit. Like, oh crap, did we rush him? Is this a terrible idea? What did we do wrong? But as long as that ball's coming off 115 miles per hour on average, I'm okay.
Well, and I do like your comparison to Aaron Judge, because you're absolutely right. I mean, when he came up his rookie season, he wasn't very good.
Yeah.
And now obviously look at him and the kind of numbers he's putting up, and I mentioned him multiple times as a guy that I watched so much growing up. When George Brett came up, he was a horrible major league hitter. And it took Charlie Lau a little time of working with him, their batting coach, and of course he turned into a Hall of Famer. So yeah, certainly. I mean, as you mentioned, you watch him hit, man, when the ball does come off that bat, it's electric.
Yep.
And so you know it's there. It's, can he put it together on a consistent basis? And that's with anything. I don't care what sport you play, if you're consistent with what you're doing. And there's no doubt. I mean, you look at the guy, and man, he certainly looks the part, no question.
Yeah, he still hits it hard, and I like that he's still hitting it to all field. He's showing power to all fields. The home runs may not be there, but he's still hitting it hard to the opposite field. He's not getting pull heavy. I don't want to say he doesn't. He does strike out, but he's for his experience, he has a relatively decent eye. So yeah, I'm not giving up hope. And we can look. Pete Crow Armstrong couldn't hit a baseball last year.
Yeah, look at the year he's having now.
Yeah, a little bit of major league time.
Break.
Yeah, a little major league reps, a little major league coaching is all players, I think, of that caliber need. And I think Jack falls into that boat. Again, I'm hopeful. You never know, but I think he has what it takes to just give it time.
Help me with this. Is he the first player or first Cub? I can't remember what they said, to have 25 homers and 25 stolen bases at the break.
So he's the fourth person ever to have that, but he's the first player ever to have 25 of 25 and then 70 RBIs.
Okay. God, what a half.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah. And obviously him and Jack aren't similar players, but
right.
It's kind of the same. There's a lot of hype around Pete. Last year, we're like, okay, this guy he's going to be just a defensive specialist and hope he finds a way to get a single or a walk or something to use speed. Yeah. And then here we are.
We are.
So maybe Jack can follow that line. I don't know how we feel about Royals coaching and, hitting coaches and all that, but
yeah,
he's still young.
Well, and that's a point too. I mean, obviously coaching has a lot to do with it, and hopefully they have, the guys they have on staff, hopefully they're the ones that can show these guys the way and give them good coaching, and that's going to be the big key for them. I mean, I think sometimes we even, we downplay how important these hitting coaches are and what role they play in developing these guys. But and the minor league guys too, those coaches down there. I mean, you have to have good coaches throughout your entire system. So I don't know. We'll see. Still a shot at the wild card with the Royals. I'm still holding out hope. A lot of games left, certainly. A lot of baseball to be played.
Yeah, and I'm still standing here. July 15th, the Royals will still be in the playoffs. I think they're going to be just fine. The offense will get figured out. They'll make a couple moves and we'll be just fine. Their pitching's there. So let's transition over to football. And first, thank you again to Emporia State Federal Credit Union for sponsoring not only the Shovick Sports but the War Room. Guys, make sure to go find them on socials, Instagram, Facebook. And then if you want more information, make sure you text or call 620-342-2336. So thank you again, Emporia State Federal Credit Union. So there was some Chiefs news today. It came down to the absolute deadline.
Minutes.
4-year, $94 million contract extension for Trey Smith. Only $70 million guaranteed. Just only. Making it the highest paid interior lineman in league history. I'm speechless on this one, but at the same time, I agree with you. Have to do this move. Like there's no other way around this. Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, you had to lock up. You'll get your tackle figured out at some point, maybe.
Simmons, hopefully.
Yeah. So again, guys, this was 3 p.m. East or 3 p.m. our time, Central Time, the deadline today. So they continued to negotiate, and literally they came to the terms. So he is now $70 million guaranteed, $63 million guaranteed is Robert Hunt. Chris Lindstrom comes in at third with 62.7. Quentin Nelson, the Colts, is $60 million guaranteed, and then Creed Humphrey right there at $50.3 million. So I mean, they're putting the money where they're supposed to, right? So, Tim, let's start with you. Your thoughts on the 4-year, $70 million guaranteed deal for Trey Smith?
Well, I think you already hit upon it. I mean, I think it was a deal that they had to make. I mean, this is a guy that is the best guard in football. I mean, is there any debate? I mean, granted, you can probably throw some other names out there, but in terms of best interior guard, there's not a lot of guys ahead of him. And I don't think there's one when you watch him play. Creed Humphrey's becoming probably, if not one, maybe 2 to 3 best centers in the NFL. You got to like what they're doing. I mean, and obviously the key for Kansas City, as we've watched them play, it's important to keep Patrick Mahomes upright. And I know the interior of the line not necessarily is the most important there. You got to have good tackles. But I mean, you have to build a good offensive line to win in the National Football League, and there's certainly locking up guys who they think are key. You have to trust the Chiefs because they've been such a good business organization. Veach always seems to have a pretty good idea of what he needs to do and who to keep and who to cut bait with. I mean, you look at you kind of compare it to the New England Patriots. They knew when to cut bait and who to keep. And I think this speaks volumes what they think of Trey Smith. And I can't argue with the signing. I mean, he's among the best, and you need among the best to compete in the National Football League. And they certainly feel like their window is still wide open to go win more Super Bowls. And so I think it's hard to argue what they did here.
So the only one that I would say is maybe close to Trey Smith is Quinn Miners. So I think Denver signed him at the right time, obviously. Because if Quinn Miners was coming into a contract year, which I believe this may have been a contract year before they extended him last offseason, I would have been really, really nervous seeing the Chiefs give Trey Smith this contract and Denver coming up on Quinn Miners. So I do think Denver and Kansas City are kind of similar. Denver guards are there. No one's going to be better than Creed Humphrey. Denver doesn't have that kind of level. But again, you have Jalen Moore, Kingsley Sumatia, Jawan Taylor, and then Josh Simmons. Those are the guys that are going to be battling it out for the line. What are your initial thoughts of, you couldn't have lost this guy, because if you lose this guy, it's not a very deep position for you guys.
I mean, I like it. Anyone who's ever listened to any of our shows where we talk football, football always starts in the trenches.
Yep.
With how Patrick Mahomes' playing style is and with how poor our tackles are, you have to be set up in the middle so he can step up and decide which route to go. I like the fact, and nothing against Joe Thuney. I love Joe Thuney, but he was getting older and he went from one dynasty to another. So he's had a lot of extra postseason games under his belt too. As much as I enjoyed Thuney, I'm happier to pay the younger guy. I don't think he is the best. I love people like Quentin Nelson. I still like kind of some of the old heads, one would say now, but he is among the best. And I think this is another contract in a year or two where we look back and he's going to be the fourth or fifth highest paid guard.
Oh, sure.
And we're okay with it, but it's a deal that did have to get done. Once we traded Thuney, we kind of knew this was going to happen. You can't lose both of those. It just wasn't an option, which kind of gave him the leverage here, which is why I think it might be a little more elevated than many expected. But it's okay. I think it's one we'll look at in a year or two and realize that it wasn't a bad contract. I do think initially it's high. Don't get me wrong. For a guard, this is close to what you give tackle money. But we're getting into an era now where D tackles, nose tackles aren't the big 400-pound guys anymore. They're the quick, still running 4.7s, kind of. So you still need to be pretty sure up the middle more than ever. So I like it. It is a little high. I think this is one we'll feel better about looking back on than we do up front.
And it just seems to me that with the economics of the game, I mean, gosh, it seems like almost every position anymore, the amount of money that you're paying these people is going up and up and up.
Except running back.
Except running back. And but man, look at what it's corners, wide receivers. I mean, man, you're talking major investment in these guys.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't think they had any choice. I mean, yeah, if you're going to stay competitive, these are the guys you need. And the fact that, Thuney walks, you lose Trey Smith after losing Thuney, and man, things don't look very good for this football team as far as the offensive line is concerned. I still think it comes down to a guy like Moore, who they signed in the offseason, and you mentioned Simmons. That's a lot of pressure on a rookie. But those two guys have to perform, because I think of the four tackles you mentioned, those two are the best ones.
Yeah.
I mean, as a Chiefs fan, I mean, Taylor's frustrating to me, just because of the how many times can we be offside, guys? Yep. I mean, our procedure penalties.
And that is frustrating, but blocking number wise, if he could figure out his stance,
sure.
He's actually, I don't want to say he's a great blocker, but he is an above average blocker. But those penalties always seem to come at the worst time.
Yep.
And you can't set an offense back.
No, and you would think by now he would have been able to figure that out. I don't know. We'll see. But I really think Moore and Simmons, certainly if you had to predict how this offensive lines are going to go, if Moore and Simmons aren't your tackles, I think they probably have some problems.
Yeah.
Yeah, big problems.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the Chiefs have proven, especially the last few years, they're willing to lose a receiver. They're willing to lose a corner to make sure 15's protected.
Yep.
And it's hard to argue with that philosophy, right?
Oh,
You're losing Tyreek. We got rid of Thuney. We didn't pay Snead. And it's all to protect 15. And as annoying as it is to lose players like Snead and Tyreek and all that, it would be much worse if we lose 15 because we can't protect them.
Well, and they've just done such a great job. It seems like with their defensive backs of finding guys.
Yep.
They just seem to have a knack for finding corners.
You'll take your chance trying to find, a corner or two than trying to find another Patty if anything happens to him.
Yep.
It's, you never want to see a Tyreek leave, but I never want to see Patrick not playing quarterback either.
Exactly right.
So I it's hard to argue.
It is.
Well, you see what they were able to do in the draft as far as they started piecing together their depth pieces on the defensive side with the draft. That's why you go out and you drafted Gigliotti.
Norman
Lott. Some of those guys.
Gassa.
Which, yes, and I'm actually really excited to talk with Jesse about some of these guys tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
I have my sleeper pick for the Chiefs, rookie-wise. I want to see how Jesse's kind of thoughts are on the sleepers with them. But I think the Chiefs did have a really good draft. There were some players that probably shouldn't have fallen to them that did.
Sure.
So I think they did a good job on the draft on that side. I don't know. Obviously, it's all going to come down to that number 1 pick, right? Like, what's going to happen with Simmons?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, obviously you always want your first-round pick to have a chance to make an impact on your football team. But there may not be a more important first-round pick in this draft than Simmons with Kansas City. I mean, I really think he's got to perform. And this is a guy who, had he not been injured at Ohio State, I mean, we're probably talking about a guy that probably goes, maybe top 10 picks in the NFL draft. I mean, he was that highly regarded.
Yeah. I think he would have been the first tackle, or second. And that Campbell guy came on. But
so the Chiefs benefited from the fact that he got hurt, and so he slid a bit. But there's no doubt the talent is there. But I think he may be one of the most important first-round picks in the draft.
And typically when the Chiefs are picking in the first round the last few years, those don't need to be impact guys. Right, no. We're making this pick because we can. I mean,
because we can add depth.
Yeah. So it's one of those where not now. Now you have to.
Yeah.
Right? Now
this is you pick because you need him to play.
And I guess I'll ask you. Say he can't perform this year, so you lose out on him this year, but then he comes back next year, and that's who's going to be the starting left tackle. Is that still considered a win for the Chiefs?
Well, I think you're
as long as Jalen Moore plays okay.
Yeah, I mean, he's still a rookie, and we talked about baseball. what an adjustment that is for young guys. I think in football, it's certainly you're talking left tackle. I mean, that's the hardest position
in the West. Yeah, not only in the AFC West, but then some of the teams that he's going to be playing this season. I mean, we have the NFC East on our schedule this year, and they, we know what the Eagles have, right? The Giants are no slouch when it comes to the pass rushers.
Yeah.
So the Commanders have a really good defensive line. So, yeah.
Cowboys.
There's the Cowboys.
Yeah, outside of quarterback, to me, that's the hardest position to get adjusted to.
Yeah.
I mean, So if he doesn't perform as you would hope, but he comes back next year as your starting left tackle and then performs well, I still think it's a great pick.
Because you get that 5th-year option with them too, so you'd still have 4 years of a left tackle.
Yeah,
at minimum.
But certainly they did pick him to perform this season. But that's asking a lot at that position. He certainly wouldn't be the first to do it.
So I've been seeing a lot where it's, if he can play, he's left tackle, and Jalen Moore and Jawan Taylor would battle for right.
Yes.
Do you think, to alleviate some pressure, if Simmons can play, him and Taylor battle it out for right, and since we've seen what Jalen Moore can do at left tackle in the NFL with his 7 to 10 starts behind Trent Williams this last year, is it more maybe he's our left tackle while Simmons gets adjusted at right tackle, or
I think that's
left tackle?
I think that's certainly a possibility. I mean, obviously you're going to see how he performs in camp,
right?
And maybe how he performs in the first few games, and not just preseason, but regular season, certainly when it's for real. And certainly I think there's then the option to move him to right tackle if he's struggling, because the last thing you want him to do is struggle to the point, again, it gets back to the confidence factor. So is that a possibility? Absolutely it is. And
you don't want him taking that Wanya Morris track where
exactly
Wanya Morris way too soon and then he was just shot.
Yeah.
He has no chance now because we just had to use him and he was not ready.
No, not at all.
Yeah, I don't want to see that happen.
No, so I think I think that certainly could be the case where you could potentially slide him over to right tackle, put more at left, and give Simmons more of a chance to get adjusted to the NFL. And once you see that happen and that transformation occurs, slide him back over to left tackle. To bring up, I guess, my team, they're kind of going through the same thing with Broderick Jones from Georgia, who when he came out, I mean, highly acclaimed offensive lineman. What's really weird about him, though, it's opposite. He's used to left tackle and can never get adjusted to right tackle. So we'll see now because they're going to move him over to the left tackle spot and see how he performs. But I don't know. We'll see. But
it's an important position.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, it's hard not to like Simmons just based upon what he showed throughout his career in college. I think the guy's really, really talented. He just is overcoming an injury, and I personally think the Chiefs got a really, really nice pick at that position.
When I think of Denver drafting Garrett Bowles and how much he struggled the first, 2 or 3 seasons, then he comes back, is an all-pro, does Pro Bowler, gets an extension, and he's flourished under Sean Payton. Like, Sean Payton has, gotten the best out of Garrett Bowles. We were the right tackle issue since Super Bowl, basically. So I'm still not 100% sold with McGlinchey just based on how he's played the last few years. But those two positions, both sides, are extremely important. And again, we've seen Patrick Mahomes at his best is when that offensive line is giving him a smidge more time than, obviously what they were able to do in the Super Bowl. So I do think, and we're not going to do an offensive line rankings, but I do like the Chiefs and Broncos both having a top 5 offensive line this season in the AFC and even in the NFL. Agree, disagree? Where are you with those?
No, I mean, when you've got Smith and Humphrey, and I'm trying to think the left guard, help me.
It might.
It'll probably end up being
It's probably going to be the Kingsley Suamatuama. Right now, it's Caliendo, I think is the name you were looking for.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
That came in when Tooney slid out. So there is a battle, but it could, and he played okay-ish.
Right.
Not to the level of Tooney or Smith, but you're going to have a position maybe that kind of sucks, and left guard's fine.
It's hard to think, particularly when you look at the AFC. God, there's not very many teams who have better personnel than what Kansas City would have in the offensive line. At least I can't think of anybody off the top of my head. I suppose you would look at the Ravens' offensive line is pretty solid.
I think you would actually. I think the 2 closest teams are in division. I think it'd be Chargers and Broncos.
Yeah.
Chargers signed Becton. They obviously have Slater and Alt.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of question marks maybe at the center and other guard position. But then Denver, I think they're rock solid everywhere. Center could still be a little bit of a, I don't want to say question mark, but down position.
Right.
But they're rock solid at least 3 of them. McGlinchey's serviceable at right. So, I mean, rock solid at 3. So, I think you're looking at 3 of the better ones right there in division.
No question. No question about it at all.
And
no doubt that.
It takes me back to what I was mentioning earlier in the depth pieces that the Chiefs don't have on the offensive line anymore. Well, that's because if you think back the last couple of seasons, I think maybe 3 seasons, they've had injuries on the line in the most important, crucial parts of the season, postseason.
Right. Yeah.
So you lose 2 of your guards who go actually sign contracts to be starters. So there's your depth pieces that, they're coming in, they're playing, and the Chiefs reward them by, hey, go get your money. You're not going to be able to start here. You did what you could do here.
Sure.
Now go and get your bag. And I think one of them was with the Redskins or the Commanders.
Wiley.
And then there's a couple. Well, Tooney obviously is now with
Chicago.
I can never remember the other guard's name. I never do.
I think he's with Washington too.
Yeah,
but either way, I mean, that's where their depth pieces have gone because they've had to come in for injuries, and then the Chiefs reward them by letting them go get paid elsewhere. So now it's time where the Chiefs have to try to hope that whoever starts, these other guys behind them, can be serviceable, and they take the practices seriously, and they they're next man up if needed, because obviously the Chiefs have had kind of a history of the injuries popping up on the offensive line. then obviously, hopefully that doesn't happen this season. But, is that a concern? Maybe, because then maybe, especially at the tackle position, because you already know it's like
I think it's always like creeps into your mind, right? Like,
I think certainly every NFL franchise has that concern.
yeah.
That's just the nature of the game, and you hope you don't lose people at key positions because over the course of the season, your chances of losing some folks off your football team for a fairly extended period of time are pretty good. I mean, you just hope it's not at real key positions. And getting back to your point with these offensive linemen who leave and get deals elsewhere, I think it goes back to just another example of what they think of Trey Smith and why they're giving all this money. They obviously, that's a guy that they just did not want to lose and were willing to pay the exorbitant amount of money to keep him. I think that just shows what the confidence they have in him and how much they value him as a football player.
And we've talked multiple times, kind of like doing our postseason breakdown and kind of getting into the offseason draft talks of, back not too long ago, maybe like 10, 15 years ago when the Chiefs were kind of, it was a cycle of, top 5, top 10 picks because they just couldn't win games. Right. Now, fast forward to now, the championship front office, right? Like now you're just building. Does that window close anytime soon, or do they just continue to?
I really believe is Mahomes even 30 yet, or did he just turn 30?
He's close.
He either is 30 or gonna turn 30.
I mean, what do and it's hard to predict because, hey, an injury and, and maybe his career gets, cut short. But let's assume he does stay healthy. And you're talking about a guy that's probably going to be in the league, what, another 5 to 8 years?
I say
at least.
Yeah, at least minimum.
So long as he's effective at what he's doing.
I think the biggest question would be Andy Reid.
I just think so long as you have him under center and he's effective playing the game, you always have a shot.
Yeah, I think
be in the conversation.
Yeah, I think my concern, I think the window right now is still okay. I need to see the next couple years because we're going to start having a little bit of more cap casualties than normal.
Sure.
Especially, if Simmons pans out and we have to pay him, you're going to have him, Creed, and Trey that you're going to keep paying until they're no longer the same player they are now. But we got to think, coming up, we have to pay McDuffie and George, both first-round picks. I think we prepared, are we going to lose one or both? You just don't know which route. I mean, they drafted the 2 D linemen to prepare for life without at least George, maybe Chris Jones, who knows. Drafted another corner, signed Fulton to a cheapish deal to have for a couple years. So it's
don't even forget the skill position players.
Yeah, I mean, you're Worthy, Rice, like you're gonna have to start paying some people. And that's one of the downfalls of being really good at drafting.
Sure.
But I think at some point you might lose too much. Now, I don't want to say it's going to make them bad, but I think it may knock them down a little bit off of their championship, pedestal.
Sure.
Like they'll still be a good team, but at some point you're not going to hit on 4 to 6 draft picks every year.
No, and every franchise certainly has its cycle. I mean, it's not going to last forever. We all know that. But I think it does get back to how good are your scouts? Can you keep your front office together?
Yep.
If you scout well and you have a solid front office, that is so critical to staying competitive. When you have an eye for talent, and also certainly the Chiefs' fortunes changed mightily when Andy Reid was hired. This is a guy who right now, I think you can make a very good case. He could potentially, second, third best coach in NFL history right now?
Yep.
He's chasing Belichick. Is that it? Maybe. I mean, I don't know. So that was the key to that franchise, in my opinion, was when they hired him on. And then certainly Brett Veach. Wow. What a front office guy.
Yeah.
So I think as long as your front office can stay intact, I don't know how much longer Reed wants to coach. Hasn't shown any real signs yet of saying, yeah, this is going to be maybe my last year, or I'm down to my last couple. And if your scouting department is really, really good, as it seems to be, I think they've got a wide open window for a few more years. But it's going to close at some point. It does for everybody.
I mean, even what is it, Patriots or whatever? They had that like 10-year gap, or
yeah. I mean,
it happens.
You know, so long as you have that generational quarterback directing your football team and he's healthy, you're going to have a shot. You know, and once Mahomes leaves, then obviously you're probably gonna have a tough time being a Chiefs fan for a while. Hey guys, I can tell you this much: when I was a kid growing up, and maybe one of the reasons why I didn't gravitate to the Chiefs being my number one team, a couple of things. There weren't as many games on TV when I was growing up as a kid, so it wasn't all flashed all over the place. But probably the most important thing is they just flat weren't very good.
Right.
So they weren't featured. You know, when I was growing up as a kid in Kansas City, this is back when they played 14 games. Heck, if the Chiefs went 6-8, 7-7, that wasn't a bad year because we were used to 4-10s and 5-9s.
Right.
And you could go to Arrowhead, go to a football game, and you were moving down into a different seat because there was just nobody there. So it's a whole different Chiefs organization and team than when I was growing up, which is fantastic to see because they're our local team. And we obviously want them to do well. But I think they'll be good for still quite some time. Now, hey, something happens to 15, all bets are off.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm still with Corey on. I think a lot of it is Andy Reid. I think he creates a lot of the magic.
Sure, he does.
I think it would depend on who takes over after Reid. Unless Coach Reid decides to just him and Patty are in lockstep and they're going to leave at the same time, then we're screwed just in general.
Well, and no offense to these guys, but you go back to Chiefs history, and you probably do this with any NFL team. You look at the times where they were really good. Because, again, getting back to when they weren't very good in my era, well, along comes Marty Schottenheimer, and he turned it around. And they became a solid NFL franchise and a team that was in the playoffs virtually every year. And, gosh, a break here or a break there, and they're probably in the Super Bowl. They just had some rotten luck in the playoffs. I know because I went to a playoff game that they should have won. Well, then after he leaves, well, then you get guys like Frank Gans, Gunther Cunningham. But they weren't NFL coaches. So once they got through that era and then Philly decides to let Andy Reid go and the Chiefs are smart to hire him, well, you know, now look what he's accomplished. So coaching, you know, I know sometimes they get too much credit, you know, when it's going well or when it's going bad, I should say, and not enough credit when it's going well. But this guy deserves all the accolades he gets. What a heck of a football coach.
I agree.
And as long as you have him and Mahomes together, your chances of being there are pretty good.
Yep.
Well, boys, another week down.
Still too far away from football.
It is still too far away from football.
Yeah, what do we got? I think I know it's preseason, right? Blah, but what Hall of Fame games like July 31st, I think.
Couple weeks, yeah.
Couple weeks away.
Chargers Lions, I believe.
It is. Then we'll have KU football not too
Like
far after that. So
August 23rd.
You guys going?
No, we're not. We did not get tickets this year. Maybe we'll try to get to a game at some point, obviously. But I'd love to see the new stadium. Excuse me. But yeah, 23rd for the Jayhawks. I think K-State kicks off that same weekend too.
That morning. They're that morning
over in Belgium or whatever.
Iowa State.
So yeah, I mean, again, training camps are firing up now. So we're slowly getting there. KU summer camp, they should be getting.
I think they would be starting here within the next. Well, gosh, they go to camp like in a month? Is that right? First, second week of August.
Yeah, it's got to be coming up. I know Big 12 Media Day just started, so
Yeah, I think they go to camp here first part of August.
Anything from Big 12 Media Day that stood out to you? Did you get a chance to see anything?
I didn't really get a chance. I thought it was I thought it was kind of bogus. They didn't do the preseason poll. I mean, come on, have some fun with that. I thought that was kind of interesting, but no, I really didn't pay much attention, quite frankly. So much of that is obviously more media driven, and they just want to,
that's kind of where that's kind of why I stopped. I used to get excited about Big 12 Media Day, seeing who's going to talk, who's going to be there. But then, you have, I think it was Gundy who was talking nothing but about NIL, and it's going to have to give in to the NIL finally. And I'm like, well, it's because your job's on the line, man. So, but yeah, other than that, it's the transfer portal, and obviously all the conferences are in interlock on college football playoff format. Big 12 standing their ground with what they want. SEC's like us in the Big 10 can't figure it out. And so, I mean, it could be a very interesting few months here.
Sounds like that as far as the playoff is concerned, excuse me, they're pretty locked on that 5+11 model.
And it should be that, I think. I mean, again, they'll give it a run for 1 or 2 years, figure it out, and then they'll say, well, we need 30 teams. And
well, and certainly the Big 10, I think they may be even leading the charge more so than the SEC is, but they want that guaranteed spots for conferences.
They sure do.
And their belief obviously is, hey, we're stacked in these two leagues. We should have more teams. And it's hard to argue with them, I know, but
and I don't think Yormark's even arguing that point. I mean, he knows.
Sure.
Any smart businessman like himself knows, but he wants to make sure that the Big 12 gets theirs, they deserve. He's not sitting here. He knows damn well that they're not going to get, on a good year, maybe two.
I mean, most years the 5th or 6th team in the SEC
is going to win the Big 12
pretty easily, probably. Honestly,
so I don't think it was him arguing that point. I think it was more of, let's make sure that we're still making sure that we're getting all one.
And I do think if you get to a point where you see two conferences completely dominating the sport, I really think you lose a lot of luster, and I think you lose interest in the sport, quite frankly, because you're going to have a lot of college football fans who say, well, hell, it's going to be either SEC or Big 10 that wins it this year. Why should I pay much attention? I'm not a fan of the SEC or the Big 10, so why should I worry about it? So
especially
I think
if it's the same 8 to 10 teams.
Yeah.
You're only going to have 2 or 3, 4 spots that are kind of up for grabs.
Yeah.
You're right. People are going to lose interest.
And I don't want to take anything away from the small guys, but you're going to have to start playing each other. You're going to have to – sorry, Alabama, you're not going to be able to play Mercer in your Week 10 game. You're going to need to schedule a Big 10 or Big 12 or ACC. You're going to have to,
have more off weeks.
It buffer it if you do slip up one game or 2 games in conference. Mercer's not going to be able to move a needle. But if you play a Clemson, or if you throw
even like Arizona State,
Arizona State, or just a team that's from the Big 10, like a Minnesota, like Michigan State, to put someone in there that's going to say, hey, that's actually going to move it a little more than what Mercer does.
Sure. I wholeheartedly agree. You're going to have a much better non-con if you hope to get into the championship side of things. So I'm ready for college football, no doubt.
I'm ready for it. Emporia State going to be any good this year?
In hearing some of the comments from Coach Higgins, he is, I think, guardedly optimistic that they'll be pretty good.
They lose a lot, though.
No, they didn't. The main loss for Emporia State is a kid by the name of Tyler Common, big time. I mean, he had a great year as a wide receiver in Division II.
Really good. And
they think he has a chance to maybe stick with the practice squad with the Colts.
Heck yeah.
They say he at least has a real legit chance of at least making the practice squad.
Heck yeah. Stingers up, baby.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So, but I think that they seem to be pretty optimistic they'll have a good football team, although, you talk about a conference for Division II, man, MIAA is brutal every year. And so they'll have to play extremely well to have a chance to – unfortunately, you got to win that league or at least be second to even have a chance to get in the playoffs because of the fact they do these regions and stuff. It's stupid. Just take your best teams and go play. I don't know why they keep having to have regions. I mean, it's the only sport I think even in Division II that does that is football.
I think every sport at every level should do what you just said. Take your best teams.
Yeah, and just go play.
I'm focused more on the Big 12, right? Like just KU given. But at the end of the day, I would like to just see the best 12 teams or the best 16 teams go play postseason football.
I mean, and
honestly, I don't think a team like, if Arizona State, they'll probably lose at least a game or two. But if I have to choose between like a dominant SEC team that unfortunately finished 5th or like an Arizona State that wins the Big 12, well, which one do we actually think is a better team?
Oh, sure.
And that's what I'd want to take. Now, I know there's no way conferences would go with that. But I think for just a fan standpoint, every sport, just take your best teams, seed them by the best overall to the worst overall, and let them play. That's the best route.
At the end of the day, we as fans, we just want to see the best games.
We do.
I mean, I know it's probably
literally it.
Do we get tired of maybe, it's Ohio State and Georgia or whatever? Well, the bottom line is typically those are going to be 2 of your best teams in the country, Alabama and Georgia. Or
those are where you get your classics, though.
Exactly. Yep.
I get tired of the same ones. Yeah. But if year after year they're spitting out classics, I'm still going to tune in.
Absolutely. Yep.
That's just how it is. I get the conferences and all that, but at the end of the day, I want to see your best teams. So.
Yep. Which is why every year I'm sitting there in front of my TV set watching the national championship game. I mean, because I know, these are the 2 best teams out there. So.
Yep.
All right, boys. That's going to wrap up for tonight. Tim, again, we appreciate you joining us.
Sure. Enjoy it.
Nah, I think Tim will be a frequent flyer, I would imagine, especially once the season gets rolling on and can have some real good conversation. But yeah, no, just don't forget War Room tomorrow with Jesse Newell, 6:30 Central Time. Make sure you tune in. Then don't forget to go check out Spy Optics. Use our code Orange20 for 20% off at checkout. And then other than that, everybody, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the comments. Tim, thanks for joining us.
Sure. You bet. Anytime.
Always a blast. I know we could always just talk sports for hours, but we should cap these a little bit. But always a good time.
Again, thank you to our sponsor, Emporia State Federal Credit Union, for sponsoring not only Shovick Sports, but the AFC West War Room. They have a wonderful intro video that we played for them. And again, that is the Shovicks banking of choice. So we will see everybody on the War Room tomorrow night, 6:30 p.m. on YouTube and X. Thank you all for joining us tonight. We'll see you guys tomorrow.